Today on our 2008 Saturn Vue, we're going to be showing you how to install the Roadmaster Diode towed vehicle wiring kit with the 7-wire to 6-wire Flexo-Coil. Part number is RM-15267. Now for the towed vehicle wiring kit, our installation of our 4-pole wire, it's going to start well before you get the fascia put back on the car. We do this during the base plate process, and it's going to allow us to route our wire kind of in behind that fascia where we wouldn't normally be able to reach, so we can get it nice and secure, make sure we don't have any loose edges or anything like that, or any wires hanging places we don't want. So get that to come down through. Basically just going to go by the end of the battery here, and then we can route this across and down to our plug area here. Now I've already attached the bracket just to give us an idea of where that's going to sit. This is one of our long brackets, part number 18136, just a universal mounting bracket right around the base plate. And then that's for the actual plug, and that's going to come with your Roadmaster wiring kit, so you won't have to worry about purchasing that. All right, we routed our wire up here. We've got it exactly where we're going to need it later, so we can go ahead now, finish up the rest of our fascia installation, and we'll get back to that when the time's right. All right, now we've got our fascia back on the car. It's time to move on and get our wiring taken care of. We'll bring out our excess. We're going to leave a little bit of slack here. We can always zip tie it off to our base plate there. But if we ever need to make any changes or if any failures occur, we'll be able to address it. We're going to get those stripped back. Now this is a separate wire. This is for a charge line. This is what we're basically just going to run this up to the battery. That way, as we're flat towing, we'll have a trickle charge effect. We'll just separate those wires off. Now as part of our kit, we're going to have our 6-pole. It's got this rubber boot on the back. We want to slide that boot over our wiring here. And you'll see each of our connection points here on the back. Just with a small Phillips screwdriver, you want to just back those out. Each one of these are labeled, and also with the kit in your instructions, they make it very clear on what does what. We can see here's the top. So if we rotate that exactly around, the center is going to be our auxiliary power. Then we'll come down from there. About 4 o'clock, we've got right turn. You're going to have left turn. You're going to have ground. You're going to have trailer marker, or running lights. This one's not going to be used in this application. That would be for a stop signal, which we don't need. Now the running light, we'll use the brown wire for. That's your trailer marker or your running light signal. It's labeled TM on the back of the plug. Next one from there is GD, or ground. Next one we have left turn signal. That's going to be the yellow wire. And then we only got one left. That'll be our green wire for our right turn and brake signal. We'll be mounting that there. We're going to boot up. Now once we've done the rest of our wiring here, once we've got everything settled and we know it works, I'm going to take some black silicone sealant. I'm going to put the tip right here in the back of this plug, and I'm going to fill this full of black silicone. That way we keep any water or any moisture out of here, because that can sometimes cause corrosion here, and then you'll get wrong signals going back to your vehicle. Now our kit's going to have a short piece of wire loom that's included with it, so I like to use that here just to, it's going to go up and over our wiring, give it a nice look. You use one zip tie right up here at the top of it just to keep it closed. Still want it to be able to slide on that wiring. And we can continue to push it all the way up. And we won't have 5 different color wires peeking out through our grill. We'll just have one nice black piece of wire loom there. On the bottom side here, we can use a little bit of black tape just to finish off the end. You want to leave enough room, like I said, to get your silicone sealant in there. Then we can use the provided screws that came with the kit. We'll use these to secure our socket right here on the bracket. Now we've looped our 4-pole wire up into the engine compartment, and then we need to go back down. The reason we're doing this is because of the braking system this vehicle is getting. We need to tie into the left turn and the right turn. So in order to do that, we've looped it up here to make an easy connection. Now I'm going to route it right back down, then we'll follow the brake lines which come off right underneath this coolant tank reservoir. We're going to follow those brake lines on toward the rear of the vehicle. You'll see we've come out on that bottom side of the ABS actuator there. We'll just start zip tying off to our brake lines and head on towards the rear. And once we get to this area of the vehicle, this is where I like to separate my white wire from my other wires. Now really we can do this anywhere, up or down the bottom of the vehicle. You could do it right at the front if you wanted, but it just seems to be a good location. So what I'm going to do is separate my white wire from my yellow, green, and brown. We're going to save the excess that we cut off of here. That way we can use it if we need it later. Put that right into that piece of steel there so we can trim off our excess. Now we'll strip the end of that back. And our kit got a ring terminal. Just going to place that on. And we can use the provided self-tapping screw to get it secured. You just want that to be secure enough so you can't wiggle that terminal around. And once we get back to this area, we're going to separate now the green wire off. That needs to go over to the passenger side. So just like we did the white wire, we'll pull that green wire off there. Now this one, we go right across this channel here. There's a piece of wire loom that runs. There's a wire loom that runs over there, so it's got good connection points that we can attach to and get it where we want it. All right, we've got that here. We'll run that up when we need it. Let's go back and we'll continue running the driver's side wires. Now as we head towards the rear of the vehicle with our wiring, we want to be sure that we avoid any significant sources of heat, any pinch points, any sharp edges, or anything else that might cause damage to our wiring. All right, now we're back up top. We're going to get our tail lights removed. We just got 2 screws here and here. Use a Phillips bit on those. Just kind of pull out a little bit and also rearward. It should slide off. You see there's going to be a little keeper here. Kind of holds that wiring. We'll pull it off. That'll allow us just to kind of rotate our light, and we'll let it rest there. Do the same thing for our other side. All right, now we're going to use just a standard 12-volt test light to test out the wires that are running into, you can see this is going to be the upper bulb. That's the one that takes care of our running lights and also our brakes. We're going to use the brake signal wire to run our brakes and our blinkers coming from our motorhome. We'll rest back down. We'll start by having someone in the vehicle turn on the headlights. Now with those on, we'll need to test our wires to determine which one has power. And off. And back on. So we know here on the passenger side, the blue wire is for our running lights. Will you try the brakes? And off. Back on. And off. And the red wire is going to be for the brakes. Now we'll go check the driver's side and make sure it's the same, or determine which color wires we have there. Looks like we got the same colors here, so we'll tap the red wire. Try the brakes. and off, back on, and off. And now the running lights. And off, on, and off. All right, so it's going to be the same on both sides. The blue we're going to be tapping into for our running light circuit. The red we're going to tap into for both the brake and blinker. Now that we know what's what, I'm just going to pull the lights out of the back of the housing so we can get this set aside somewhere safe. You just turn these 90 degrees and then pull straight out on them. Now to get our wiring pulled up into position, we're going to pass right through a narrow area. It's between the body of the vehicle and our rear bumper cover here. We're using a piece of airline tubing. You can also go with like a coat hanger or a stiffer piece of wire. Just want to slide it. There's a small square right down here. You need to get it to go through there first. Right through there. And manipulate it as straight down as you can. And then once I get it down there, I like to push through as much as it'll let me. And then we'll go underneath and see if we can't find that. And once we've got that pulled through, we're going to take our yellow and brown wire and also that piece of white wire that we trimmed off earlier. We'll stick those together. We'll tape it right off to that and then pull it up behind that taillight housing. And I just want to pull our wires on up through. Now we'll trim our white wire off. Also our yellow and brown here. We'll give ourselves plenty of slack. Then we're going to strip back the end of all three of those. Now the end of our white and our brown wire here, we're going to twist those together. And the white wire is going to act as our jumper wire to send our running light signal to both lights. Now on our diodes, there are spade connectors. We've got one yellow, the rest of them are going to be blue. We want to grab the yellow one, we'll crimp that onto our white and our brown wire. Make sure it's got a good hold. The yellow one here, we're just going to add a blue one. Now on our factory wiring, I want to separate this. It's going to give us as much slack that is available, which is a good thing when we're putting in diodes. We need some extra room. So we'll trim that off, being careful not to cut any of the wiring underneath. You can see that's going to give us some extra slack because my diodes are going to be mounted right up here. And we're going to come maybe about 3 inches from the end of the loom from the factory. We'll split that blue wire, which is for our running lights, and get that stripped back. And the end of each one of these will get a blue spade connector. And we'll do the same thing for our red wire there. All right, now we want to grab one of our diodes. We'll start with our running light. You can see the diode's going to have 2 inputs and it's going to have a single output. So this allows us to bring an input in from our vehicle and an input in from our RV and only send out one signal to the light to operate it. Now the signal coming in from the RV cannot pass back in to the signal from the vehicle and vice versa. So we're not going to have any back feeding to deal with. This is going to help to isolate everything and keep everything separated so we don't have any issues. So we'll take our running light signal. The factory will go on the in. The new one we've just added will go on the in. And then the blue out is going to go to the out. So we can have 2 inputs that are going to feed a single output out to our light. It's going to clean that area off. I'm also going to clean the surface of that diode because I'm going to be adding another one to it. Pull that foam tape off. Then we want to position that up as high as we can get it, right up into this corner. Then we'll push it, make sure it's stuck on there really well. Do the same thing for our red wire this time, using the yellow wire that we brought from the front of the vehicle. And that's going to stack right on top there. Now we're just going to use a little more silicone here. Not too worried about it in the area it's in. It seems like it's going to be a good area, but never be too sure. We'll do the same thing on the passenger side, only we'll use the green wire for the yellow wire and the white wire for our brown wire. Now for our white wire, I'm just going to route it right behind this rear bumper cover. We'll be able to zip tie it off there. Then we'll get our wires taped off that pull wire and get them up behind that housing. Now the white wire that we jumpered over from the other side, that's our running light. So that's going to be connected to the diode with our blue wire. Now for our other diode, we'll be connecting the green wire from the front of the vehicle. The out is going to be the wire that goes to the bulb, and the in is going to be the one that comes in from our vehicle. All right, we got it put back together. Now let's test it out. To run our test, we'll simply just plug the 6-pole end of our Flexo-Coil right into the front of the vehicle. Now we'll run through all of our functions and make sure they're working properly. We'll start with our tail lights. Now we'll do the left brake signal, do the left blinker signal. We'll do our right brake signal and our right blinker signal. Another test that we'll run is to operate either of the turn signals and then to have someone step on the brake in the vehicle. With the brake applied, you want to ensure that the signal from your motorhome is still flashing your blinker, which ours is, indicating that we're not going to have to worry about any relays or anything like that on our brake pedal switch. That's going to complete our installation of the Roadmaster towed vehicle wiring harness with the 7-wire to 6-wire Flexo-Coil wiring kit. Part number is RM-15267 on our 2008 Saturn Vue.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.